Thank you so much for accepting my invite, Prasad, and being in my show. Add wings to your career is what is the new program that I'm launching, and that's how the postcard I'm trying to name it. Because it's the first one that I am doing. I wanted to be really, really sure about who I pick up and what kind of profile that I'm looking at. I went spent a lot of time researching around and all that, and I could see your Facebook profile, few videos around, and then LinkedIn and all of it, and you came across to me as a perfect combination of high IQ and high EQ as well, which is an emotional quadrant and intelligent quadrant, correct? Intelligent quotient. So those are the things that perfectly matched the way I am looking at, and it is a rarest combination for somebody to have both of them together. Somebody, there are a lot of leaders that you would see they are high in IQ but very low in EQ. And if you look at your recommendations, also correct, a lot of them talk about your EQ, people management skills and all that. And my perception probably that IT lacks that aspect of it, but I think you nailed it in your career and over the years of the progression that you had in your career. So you want to just know about you, how has been your progress and how has it been of making of a leader?
Thank you so much, Arif, for hosting me on your show. It is pleasure to talk to you and a pleasure to be part of this conversation. And thank you so much for the kind words about the EQ and IQ. Really, I'm moved for that. Thank you so much for that. The career, so far, the leadership career, the before that, hardcore being a techie has been a fantastic. Right? And I always followed what I really love to do. And in fact, being a industry production engineer, jumping into a software as a passion, not because the industry needs it, because I was so inclined to do it. And that's how I jumped into software, and particularly the development, the developing the softwares for the global customers. And that journey has been fantastic. And it added if I just go back to my memory lane, why did I pick up a particular stream of engineering, industrial production? Is about there was a leadership and a management was involved. And I was from the beginning, I was deeply involved or moved towards leading a business or leading or managing or starting up something. And that combination has worked really well for me from the beginning. And the keen observations which I had from the beginning has really helped out to do this work. And so far, this is, I enjoyed, rather than I looked at what I achieved, probably I would say I enjoyed every bit of it. And I will continue to enjoy every in the future as well, and take maximum experience out of whatever I'm doing. That's
How
what I.
has been, how has been the issue with the, how has been, your student life and how has been your childhood? We would want to know a little more about it, because I think a lot of grains from becoming a good leader starts from there in terms of, what are the experiences in your life? How was your college early days? And how was your interaction with the system? I'm sure in those days, not a lot of them had access to the systems that we have today, from a laptop, from this and all that. How was your initial journey?
So my father was a doctor, and he was a veterinary doctor, and he used to get transferred every fourth year or fifth year. My childhood has been spent in multiple cities, right? I studied from first to fifth standard in Raibag, then I went into Khanapur, then Chalkere for the 11th and 12th. So I continuously moved along with him. Now, during this course of movement, whether I like it or not, every time I used to get very uncomfortable with the new sets of friends, new sets of teachers, the new sets of the entire environment, right, whether I like it or not. But I think that journey has really played a lot on my mind. How to become comfortable with a very uncomfortable situation. It is very important. I think probably during my childhood, I never liked that experiences. But in the hindsight, when I look at that was the maximum experience which a life can teach me. And because of that, I never became uncomfortable in any of the situations in the life. That was one thing which I can really narrate. And the second thing is about, being in the software, being in the technology as a deeply, you will be surprised that I saw the computer first time when I was in engineering. That's the time I saw it. Forget about touching it. The way I saw the machines were very, very old, extreme machines with the floppy disk. We started with 1.4, 1.2 MB, then we started with the smaller one, 1.44 MB. I think 1.4 MB something, we started with that. And that's how I got attracted to the computers. And, as a part of a curriculum, we had only the basics of computers, nothing much. We never studied C++, nothing.
Thank you so much, Prasad, for your for a lot of insights that you're giving it to us. Take us through your college life. That seems to be like the most exciting piece in anybody's life, correct? So how has been yours?
No, college life has been really wonderful. The only thing is uh, what we did in the college, and particularly I enjoyed the computer lab. Right, we had a very dedicated computer lab which no other department had. So I took the best advantage of it. Doing anything with the related to software. And the other college aspects are really just studies, going to the college, getting things done. And these were all the typical things which anybody would do. But the one thing that I think some of us were really moving towards the software learning outside the college. We were kind of, that's the trend. We have to learn SQL star was the whole thing which we will have to learn. And I started with VB. Probably I would have learned by myself, no specific courses. But there was always a nudge across the board to go and learn something outside. You don't only, because our academics was completely different engineering, right? And when we did this in outside was really helpful. So during my course of admission, what had happened, we had a delayed admission into the college. And in fact, I had around 4 or maybe 4.5 months of a time left to us. And I went and joined a diploma. So in fact, when I was getting admitted, I myself went to the college and said that I want to do it. And the staff there, who was the admission counselor, he was very suspicious that whether I will be really sticking to diploma. And he pretty much knew my scorecard and everything. He repeatedly asked me, "Are you sure you really want to do this?" I said, yeah. And I said, okay, because I didn't have any other options. I said, okay, fine. But during that diploma, what happened? They made us to do labs. Absolutely 3 months is just doing labs. You did all the carpentry, foundry and everything, because that was a trend that time. But when I moved into a college, and that lab helped me so much that majority of people who were waiting for the admission and they didn't do anything when they entered the lab, they had to go through the whole process. For us, we were already 3 months ahead in the lab. So everybody used to take 1 hour to figure out and finish that lab assignment. And I and one of my friends, 15 minutes, lab finished. It's like, wow, what to do after, just, keep on roaming around and helping others. But I think that's an exciting time, the first semester which I had. And later on, we really understood the way we studied for 11th and 12th is not the way you have to be studying for engineering. A bit of a realization has to hit you hard. And then you start looking what you really like and how do you want to do that. During that, I think till 7th or 8th semester, I had no clue that I would be picking up technology as my main course or maybe main career path. But I was just doing what has been asked to do. From the academic curricular point of view and building up my skill set outside what I'm trying to do. I think, see, this is probably fortunate to understand that you need to build the skill before you need it, right? Wow. I think that's the realization was very, in fact, see, many people, what they do is now I need a skill, they start building it up. And I think, my journey has been so far, before I need the skill, I would at least have a realization that I need to build that skill. And I, that has kept me active, learning across the board. Till now, when I see it, if something new comes into that, learning is not a problem for me. Picking it up and changing completely 360 degrees is I enjoy doing it.
Amazing insights, correct. How has been your first interaction with computers?
Well, the
Can you?
first interaction was very amazing. We have been asked to do a very simple activity on the machine. We have to go and probably work with someone to get a bootable floppy disk, right?
Wow.
So that was our assignment. The lab instructor give you a formatted floppy disk to him, and he will give you a bootable disk, and you come and insert into a floppy drive, go and write some few commands like dir, create a file, all were like a DOS prompt. We were not been introduced to the Linux or Unix system. It was just a DOS. We have to go and do it. And I think I enjoyed doing that. It is not about what the command we're going to write. It is about how machine thinks. And that was my kind of an inspiration or a thinking behind it. Okay, if I'm going to type this, dir, just to list the directory, but what actually machine thinks in the background? How does it sort the files? How does it give me so fast? I think I started to think that, there is something somebody has written, and that's what is processing it, right? And I think that opens up a new door of thinking, the perception. See, so many people would have introduced to the machine and they were just following the instructions, but what really happens behind the hood is when you start learning it. It's amazing experience. You will unearth a lot of things. Some are like some are very boring aspects about networking architectures, and everything will you have to go through it whether you like it or not. But when you start implementing those architectures into real life experiences, and that's an insight you will start getting. And I think that is what I enjoyed. In fact, the first semester, maybe first or second semester, we never had too much of computers. It was a basics one, but that knocked me down, saying that, hey, this is something which is very, very interesting to pursue further. And in fact, I had a wish to own a machine at home. So you see, that time it was very expensive affair. And my father said, no, it is very expensive. What will you do with that? But I ensured, I went behind my father, convinced him. And finally, with a lot of reluctance, he said, okay, fine, I will get your machine. And that was a game changer for me. In fact, I spent so many hours on that machine, crashing it, booting it back, doing my own VB programming, installing a lot of softwares, playing around. I think those initial maybe that along with my friend, and that literally shaped my thinking. So I'm so thankful to my father that he literally said, okay, fine, I will get you the machine. But I think that changed. Probably nobody would have thought through that. That will become a stepping stone to the whole thinking process of computers, how they really work, what should be doing, and becoming comfortable with the machines. And
Absolutely correct. That was a privilege in our days. Correct. Just to get a computer, just to put a hands onto it. But today's there are laptops around, and there are devices which are phones which are much more, much more faster than a computer today. Correct. But amazing insights. Correct. And those are the ones that were of a lot of value at that point in time. More than expensive, I think there are a lot of value that could get added and all that. How has been your corporate journey when you really took up the roles and the office and all that? Take us through a little bit of that aspect of it.
The corporate journey, I never stopped learning. So that is the one thing which has really defined my career, the way I progressed in. During early days, I used to work in the evening, come back home, pick up a ASP.NET book, SQL Server book, study for another 3-4 hours. Maybe I used to learn in front of TV used to run, and I used to learn, visualize the things. And I never thought through that that's going to come to my help a lot many times. But only sheer interest in learning. And I did that so consistently day in, day out, day in, day out. And I started to look forward those evening times with learning experiences. And when the moment came in, and it helped me so much that maybe solving a customer problem or cracking up something, it was so seamless to me, where other people were used to struggle to do that. In fact, I do remember one of the in one of the occasions where they had asked me to write a program, and it was related to some balance sheet. Something was related to the balance sheet, balancing out the profit and loss account and everything. They gave me a small program and they give me, okay, you write this program, take 3 hours. I looked at a solution. I said, okay, fine. But I finished it in half an hour. And I went and told them that this is all done. So they were surprised. How could you do so fast? They had a doubt in their mind. I said, okay, we will test your program. So they came to my machine and said, okay, let's test the negative testing. They started with negative, forget about the positive, because they wanted to show that, okay, you written the code, but there's some scenarios they did not. They tested all negative scenarios, is giving the perfect answers, outputs. Then they got very surprised and they started all the positive testing. The person who is kind of really chartered accountant, who is sitting with me and trying to test the program in all possible ways and break it up. They tried for half an hour to do it, nothing happened. The program worked perfectly fine with all the error handling, all the exceptions, all the permutation combination. They were so happy. And I said, we had never seen such a program like this. They said, okay, the project is yours and you are onboarded onto the project. Right? And I enjoyed that project, till I remember, till now I remember that project. See, some of these things, when evening time, when we spend a lot of quality time in learning things, when you really need those skill sets on the practical or real life, it really helps you.
I'm sure, correct, in today's era, we are all at work and office, correct. So if you look at it, a lot of them come back and talk about, we don't have time to do anything else. So what is your answer for this one?
See, my perspective is like this. Everybody on the planet has 24 hours of time, no matter what part of the world he is. Right? Now, the only thing, the problem is not with the time management or they don't have a time. The problem is actually with the prioritization. They have not prioritized the life appropriately. See, it is very simple. If it is important to us, we do it, no matter what it happens. Right? We cut down a lot of unnecessary thing and we do that. If it is just a things to be done or maybe a task to be completed, we try to push it as low as possible till it becomes a burning issue. Then only we pick up and run. It's a human nature, right? So when somebody tells me that they don't have a time to do something about learning new skill or doing something, I would really perceive this as a prioritization issue. So when you go to the prioritization issue, there is an underlying problem. The prioritization stems from what the goals they have. It is all tightly linked to the goals, right? Now, when we look at the goals, there are core values under that. Let me give you a very, very simple example. So many people in the world, they define a New Year resolution to do something. Maybe I'll wake up in the morning, go for a jogging, every day, half an hour, or maybe walk a 5 kilometer a day, something they set up. That resolution falls apart within 30 days. The reason behind that, it is not that they're not competent enough to do. It is not that they don't want to do that. It is not that, they are not willing to do it. They have everything, but what is happening, the underlying core value and the goal is not aligned to the aspiration, what they have defined. If the core value of a person is, I need to be healthy, I need to take care of this body and mind and emotions, he doesn't need a New Year resolution. He will anyway get up and run, right? But the people who define the New Year resolution, they need a lot of external motivation. So the problem with external motivation is that by the moment motivation stops, you all stop everything in that one. So you are actually externally dependent on many things. But when you start getting out of that external motivation to the internal driven motivation, then you don't require, you just need a mentor to channelize your energy. You just need a mentor who can guide you through the process, right? I think that is what, people, when they come and see it, they don't have a time. The chain reaction is like this, right? It boils down to do this one. If you're going to give them a pep talk to them, or if you're going to give them a motivation speech, which is just a short lived, it might be there for 1 or 2 days, they may do it, but later on they won't do it. But you have to fix their underlying core values and the goals of the life, what they are in. Then you just leave them. And it is, somebody said, uh, uh, don't try to help people to catch a fish. You first teach them how to catch a fish, then they are pretty independent in their life.
Absolutely well said, correct. It is the underlying fact that they need to work on. What would you also talk about these people, correct, who say that I am not being valued at work, and my manager doesn't recognize my work, or I'm putting so much of hard work but it just goes in vain. So what is your take for those kind of questions that we get?
The perspective is like this, when see it, it is always that in the workplaces, the environment may not be as conducive what you want every day. There are business pressures, there are targets need to be met, there are situations, there are coded situations in the work do happen. Again, there are multiple personalities are working together on a common goal, has got many people, interpersonal skills, and their backgrounds and everything, right? But if you're going to be looking at my work is not valued in the organization, or my leader is not valuing myself, right? Uh, the whole thing is like this, right? Rather than expecting somebody to value you, right? My point of view is just add value first. Don't worry about whether they pay attention to you or they don't pay attention. It doesn't matter, because eventually, if you're doing right things, you will be on the radar, and they will notice you, right? But see, that's why doing the right things is so important in the organization, that you don't have to hide anything. You don't have to play the dynamics of the organizations. I will say something to this guy and something. You don't have to worry, because people start recognizing you as a person of a character, person whom you can depend on, right? And trust on. See, these are the underlying things. No matter what difficult situations you go through in the organization, you cannot compromise on your character, right? If character is gone, then everything is gone. So don't even compromise anything, right? You maybe get one appreciation, you may not get appreciation, but character cannot be compromised. The first ground rule is to stick on to your character and the trust level. The trust is built thread by thread. You cannot go walk into the workspace and say that you trust me. I've joined here and you trust me. It is not going to happen. The trust is built thread by thread. So thread by thread, what I mean is the conversation to the conversation, the email to the email, the chat to chat. What you say, what you do need to reflect the same, right? And people will start believing you, and customers will start believing you. See, that's the ground rule you need to follow, right? If somebody is not valuing your work, they are not respecting what you're saying, and they are not believing what you're saying, you have to look internal first. That are you leading by an example? If it is not, people are not going to believe you, right? You may be competent enough. See, I tell many people like this when the young leaders come to me and talk about how do I build a credibility in the organization. See, I typically tell them credibility is the intersection of two things. If I put X and Y graph, right? The credibility sits in the fourth quadrant of this graph. One side is the integrity of yourself, and second one is the competency, right? Integrity and the competency. The topmost corner, you are at the highest level of integrity and highest level of competency. That's your credibility is built, and that's where they need to pay attention to that, right? If you're highly competent but your integrity is very questionable, I don't think so you will go far in your career, or in your life. It is not going to happen, right? Take my words. And the second thought process is that look at a nature whenever you want to solve a problem. So nature has solved this problem for billions of years, right? It cannot go wrong, right? When you get into an issue at office, right? When somebody tells me that this guy is not good, he's just kind of hunching on me, backbiting. See, you will have to understand this. Whenever you want to plant a seed, or when you want to plant a garden, the pests will come, right? There will be issues. There will be a weed, whether you like it or not, right? If you're a good gardener or maybe a farmer, you know that You need to protect your crop from a pest and weeds, and you have to do that cleaning activity now and then. So similarly, when you are working in an organization or you are running a business, the pests will come to you, no matter whether you like it or not. That's the rule of the world, or rule of the nature. If you're running a business, the competition will try to eat your pie, or there is something bad positioning or a bad branding will be done by your competitor for you, and price cutting, the value cutting, and everything in n number of things can happen. If you're a working professional, you will have not many issues in the workplaces, but you have to protect yourself, you have to protect your team, your business from the pests and the weed. And that's why so many of the time leader have to sit on the fence and watch what things are happening around and how do I protect my team. And see, the one thing which I tell, if a leader is good, really good, the team will be very, very comfortable to work with him. So it is really matters. If your leader is able to understand what pests are coming to my team and how do I eliminate them, how do I ensure it is all properly maintained, and that team will be really happy to excel in whatever the leader is trying to vision it, right? And that's my perspective, right? Don't get disheartened with the dynamics of the organization. Don't get this, that's part of the game, right? And one last thing I would tell you, if you're really in trouble, right, uh, not many things are against you or whatever thing, stick to your ethics. That's the one, right? The integrity and ethics have to be stuck. Second, please understand the hottest, the best steel in the world has to go through the hottest furnace. If you're not moving through the hottest furnace, you will not become the best steel in the world. And whatever trouble if you're going through in your life or maybe in the workplaces, probably the nature or the universe wants to be the best out of whatever the lot is.
Very powerful words, and they're mind-blowing. Okay? And I should say they're mind-blowing because a lot of them don't ideally internally they don't look at stuff, what is happening right, what is not happening right, are they behaving appropriately well, and the value structure within them, correct, which is really, really important in terms of dealing with any issue. But thank you so much for bringing up all the details and nitty-gritties of office politics and not feeling valued and all of it. I would also want to understand a little more about, how do you talked about coaching and a mentor and all of it, correct? So how does that play into all this picture?
See, the mentors in the life actually accelerate your whole process, right? See, let us understand who are your mentors, right? Mentors are somebody who have gone through this phase. They know what is going on, and they have understood the art and the science of reaching the human potential, whatever you want to do it, right? And they have also figured out a mechanism, how do we navigate, right? And see, that's what we call mentors. I'm just giving you a very most basic and simplistic definition for that. Now, when people have to really accelerate their path, they need to have a mentor. Probably in our culture, we all say that gurus are the first source of God, right? They are the first source, and through you only you will be able to reach the maximum potential what you want to achieve. So similarly, if you want to excel in your life in any area, first you have to find a mentor and take their help, take their guidance, and move forward. Typically what happens, mentors will not only teach you one aspect about it. See, you need to identify a good mentor in your life, because when you are being mentored, he's not going to mentor you for a particular skill. He's going to mentor you for the overall character, overall package. It comes in that way, because see, there is a difference between a teacher and a mentor, right? Teacher is a person who will teach you a certain subject. He will make you proficient in that subject, right? But the mentor, he's taking complete responsibility of yourself. Not only that subject, but he just want to uplift you in all the possible ways, right? See, that's why when I run my inner circle with that, the choosing the people to be mentored for the inner circle is entirely different. They have to go through rigorous process around it, because what I believe is that everybody want to be mentored, right? If you go and ask everyone, do you want to be mentored? Yeah, I want to be mentored, right? Yeah. But there is a missing burning desire to excel to whatever they want to do. If you don't have the burning desire, mentor cannot do anything here. He can only give you some theoretical knowledge to you, handhold you, nudge you some here, but you don't see any outcome coming out of the mentee, right? So that's why when I do my inner circle of the mentorships, there's a rigorous process goes into that, and who need to be picked up for the mentees, and whether do they have a burning desire, right? See, Napoleon Hill says in the Think and Grow Rich, one statement which remained in my mind for a longer time. Uh, Without burning desire, nothing will happen in this world, right? If there is only one burning desire, that person will figure out the things. He will go and find a mentor. He will do whatever need to be done, and you just have to give him a helping hand to do certain things in the life.
Absolutely correct. You nailed it. It has to be a mindset approach, correct? And mentor really tries bring that best in you. Unless you don't have a desire, everything goes in you. And absolutely put across correct. And I'll come to the other sensitive piece of any professional world, which is how do I manage my finances? Irrespective of wherever in the career graph where I'm sitting, most of the professionals seems to be like, dealing with not dealing well with their finances, and that is your forte as well. That's your passion of how do the personal finance work and all that. So give me a little more insights on that aspect.
So see, this all happened when I was doing a work in US. I was on a project. Since I love reading the books, so Saturday, Sunday used to be my free time. Because I used to work for a bank. We were developing the software for a bank, and there's a protocol that you can't enter the office bank. Security over the weekend, and after 5 o'clock Friday, you were just out. And the way I spent the time is just getting into the bookstore, picking up the books, and see the one good thing in the US that they will not charge you for reading a book in the bookstore, right? But that's I literally enjoyed that whole process, right? I just go there, take a Starbucks coffee and read a book till I'm happy with that. Then I would buy that book. So during that time, somebody told me, see, the one habit which I picked up early in the life, if somebody tells me that book is good, I will go and buy that book and read it, right? No matter whatever it is, right? And I think somebody told me about this Rich Dad Poor Dad book, and I said, okay, let me go and read. So it was a Saturday morning. I just went there, picked up the book, and it's a beautiful story Robert Kiyosaki had written. And it hit me so hard because till that point, being born and brought up in a middle class family, traveling across the state, I never thought finance at the different level, the wealth creation at different level, right? And he just made it so simple for me to do that. In fact, same day, I literally went to the bookstop, the same bookstop. I would have finished 30-40% of the book. I went and bought the book, and I probably in the following day, Sunday, I finished the book. But I was shocked for a week that this is how the thinking process goes into that. And that's how the journey started for me in terms of being curious about the wealth creation, being curious about personal finance, right? And I started to think what actually makes a difference, right? See, earning an income is one part of the equation. Once you earn, what you do with that money is the second important part of the equation, right? And if you're not able to manage it really well, both of them, you will be getting into a financial disaster in your personal life. So when I started to see many friends, doing it, I could really sense that there is something wrong the way they are doing. So, but because see, at that moment of time, I was not in a situation to have so much of knowledge to give them, this is right or wrong. I just followed what I'm supposed to follow and started to read those books and started to invest in the stock market. And so surprisingly, I moved into the value investing rather than a trading and making a short-term money. I just stayed away from that, right? I'm a big fan. Probably I would say that one of the biggest mentors would be Warren Buffett and Robert Kiyosaki. So they have literally told the right thing what people have to be doing. And that has started up shaped up the way I thought through, the way I spent the money, the way I built the asset, it has shaped up in that way. See, later on, when I realized now, as I stand and with so many years of experience, when I see the people that they struggle financially, right? They put the entire family at a brink of a disaster, right? And I really see that, hey, you guys are not even understanding it, right? Just get educated about finance, personal finance, particularly. It is a life skill. Probably it goes back to our early days of the schooling where nobody taught us as a finance as a subject, not as a accounting, you have to do balance sheet. I'm not even talking about it. How do you manage your own money? And many people have this kind of a guilt in their mind that they don't talk about money. They say that, oh, no, I only work. I'm not running behind the money, right? I usually ask them, if you're not running behind the money is not going to run behind you initially. Either the money has to run behind you or you run behind the money, right? One of the things can happen. But people never understood how do you put your money to a work rather than you working for the money, right? And that's the way the secret started to come out. I think many people have had this problem. So then later on, what I thought, let me start sharing some of the secrets, what they need to be following, and how do they think. Let me give you a very simple example, right? uh, People go and buy things. Take an example. They go and buy very luxury things, right? I want to buy a car of maybe 10 lakhs rupees, right? And the car salesman is so amazing to convince you that car is a status symbol for you, and they emotionally attach it so well, and they literally they give lot of this will give you big, this has a AC, this has a boot, see, this is all fine. But when you walk into that showroom, or before walking into the showroom, if you know the price of the car, how do you play out your cash flow in your mind? I think not many people will be able to do it. But some of the successful businessmen or the people who are really wealthy, they can literally play around both both the cash flow statements. Assume that if Arif is selling something to me, I can visualize what is Arif's sheet, the cash flow, and I can visualize my cash flow. I would rather know which is asset and which is liability, right? And that has to be really it is a very simple thing. Following the cash flow quadrant, a very simple: income, expenses, asset, liability, how these four are linked. I don't want you to be chartered accountant. I don't want to be thinking that, oh, I need to be chartered accountant. No, let the chartered accountant do their job. Let them give you the whole thing. Only take one transaction and think whether you can visualize. If they're able to learn this aspect very carefully, I think they will be financially well off. The world, there is no dearth of money in the world. But the problem is how people put the money to use is the biggest problem we have. And they literally spend it on the which are non-essential for them, right? And just to give you that, after a long thought, I started to write a book. The title, as of now, I stand, it is My Money, My Buddy. And I'm kind of defining, giving them a 12 to 13 secrets, how they need to be looking at up with the story blended into that, so that anybody who is starting a career, or maybe in the engineering, or maybe they are doing medicine, at any stages of the life, and you should be able to pick up that book and start validating your thinking and what need to be done for that. I think it is a life skill. Learn earlier, you learn, better your life will be. And there is no escape out of it. I have seen so many people, they kept on telling me that, hey, why are you planning so much? Why? You have to live the life as it comes. When I look back at them right now, they are in the most financial distress at this moment of time. They put the entire family at a whole problematic level, right? So my point of view is everybody on this earth should know about their personal finance management. It is a life skill. If you are the way you know the driving a vehicle, maybe a two-wheeler or a car, it is like this.
Well said, Prasad. These are all mind-blowing stuff, correct? Where Robert Kiyosaki has been there from a very is Rich Dad Poor Dad. But what is coming through you is excellent, correct? Every transaction that I am doing, I will have to calculate my cash flow, how it is going to be. That's like a mind-blowing stuff for me. Thank you so much for all those insights. The last thing, and congratulations on your book, correct? I am sure, I'll be the first buyer to go buy it as soon as you launched it. So thank you so much for putting everything together in one zone so that it's easy for everybody to manage their personal finance. As you rightly said, it's a life skill, else you will lose it, correct? And the cost is your family is at risk, correct? So the other aspect that I would want to say, how do you plan the retirement piece of it? Do you really plan for your retirement, or how do you think that plays out?
See, it is like this, I will give a very, very simple example, right? Uh, you want to build a house, right? What do? You catch hold of an architect and take a blueprint, and then the architect will go much deeper into your structural engineering, what material need to be used. And it has a process to do that. It will take maybe 18 months or whatever the material you're going to, some people build 6 to 7 months, or some people 18 months. At the end of the 18 months, you are achieving your vision of the house, right? Whatever you want to do that, right? So similarly, you have to look life in that way, right? And you need to have a blueprint. What do you want to do that? Again, it is just a plan, right? And when you constructing a house, so many things will go wrong. Something is not working, the workers will not come, there is a price hike, not many. But what do? You navigate through this, right? You have to figure out, and you do not many things. So life is also like this. See, you don't know how many years you're going to live on this planet, right? But leading a life without a plan, at least the high level plan, or at least that I'm going in this direction, want to do it, is a basic need. People need to have it, right? So when it comes to retirement, I would suggest there are multiple ways of looking into the retirement. There are absolutely financial advisors, certified financial, they will give you a whole plan of doing the things, this is what you do. But if you want to do that, go and do it, right? But the underlining, you have to understand one thing. If you are going to create asset every year on year, you don't have to worry about your retirement. It will automatically taken care. The only thing you have to worry about is the health insurance and the healthcare part of it. You appropriately cover up that and try to buy assets which will generate money for you. So that will take care of your your future cash flow. That's the game they need to understand. See, what the financial advisors they do, they try to give you some good financial advisors, they really take interest and guide you properly. But see, majority of them, 80-90% have a half-baked knowledge, right? Because they have been asked to recommend these 10 things, they go and recommend blindly without thinking about it, right? But basically, what they're trying to do is to create assets which can generate a cash flow, right? See, asset is something which puts some money in your pocket month on month. So you have to create those assets, focus on creating those assets. Many people run behind a stock market saying that, okay, I will buy today and sell it at 20%, 30%. That's a trading. That's not for retirement until otherwise you are a seasoned player, right? Don't fall for it. The basic simple rule you have to follow, or the secret you need to follow, buy assets as much as possible, which can generate a positive cash flow, right? You need to train your mind to look for those assets. If you don't train your mind, leave that responsibility to somebody else, it may not happen. That's the one thing. Second thing is adequately cover yourself with a health insurance, because health is a biggest distractor for many people, or maybe in the world. It can knock out your wealth or money in a fraction of a moment, right? So cover up yourself with a proper health insurance. I will not talk about how much health insurance you will need. You have to do research. You have to think through, depending on your family health, whatever it is, do that. But these two are the two elements you need to play around the game. So it is a game of ensuring how do I play, right? The another third point, many people try to do many things around investment. So I will go and invest in stocks. I will go and invest in some real estate. I will go and invest in buy some shops. There is nothing harm in doing it. But first gain expertise in whatever you are doing. Because if you understand what is that, then you will be able to mitigate the risks very easily. So see, so for some people, some people come and tell me that, oh, stock market investing is risky for me. See, for me, it is not risky because I understand where I need to play, and I'm going to play only that area. I will not invest in all the companies. I will not go and invest in industries where I have no interest or I don't want to understand or I don't even understand. So mine is very the smaller game you have to play around it, right? But traders have a different view. I want to buy at every day and sell it at evening. That's a different ball game, right? Don't fall for all those kind of things. Keep it as simple as possible. But you have to, if you're planning a retirement, you have to plan to train your mind first. Because if you're going to fail training your mind, no retirement plan will save you in the life. It is not going to help. You will get shocker out of shocker by the moment you reach 60 years. You will only get shocker thinking, oh, my advisor told me this, oh, this did not happen, right? So, long time back, I'll tell you this story. I had been to Bombay. My wife is from Mumbai, and I had on the vacation. And I think my mother-in-law wanted to buy one insurance, and I happened to be by chance sitting in front of that agent, who's in LIC. I was just kind of giving an up, accompanying her. So he gave me such a statement to my mother-in-law and everyone that you invest 5 lakhs, you're going to get 35 lakhs in insurance. For a moment, I said, what? What are you trying to do, right? Explain me. And I dragged him down to the explanation to that level. I said he added all the bonuses in the world, whatever he could think. I started to cut down the bonuses, cut down. Finally, it turned out that 5 lakhs, if you, the total outcome, your investment is going to be 5 lakhs, you would be getting not more than 7.5 lakhs.
Yeah.
And he finally agrees after 1 hour, yeah, you will get 7.5. I said, okay, that's the way. People literally, when you go to anybody, they try to sell you at a high level. So who are you going to go for an advice on a retirement? You need to understand whether he is selling something to you. If he's selling, then he has a vested interest to tell you the hypes which you will not be able to justify or validate in the near future, right? So that's why having a knowledge is very important. How do you use the knowledge? It is up to you. So don't fall for the gimmicks about not many things. So that's why I keep on telling, train your mind to see the money, train your mind to see the assets, and then take a help from others, from the professional advisors. You take a help so that you will be able to ask them the right questions. Why can you say that, right? And I think if many people do that, they will be able to get through this very easily. But unfortunately, people want quick money. They want to plan retirement quickly. They want to retire. If I go and ask them when you want to retire, oh, I wanted to retire yesterday. So that is what the answer I get.
Yeah, I think I need money today is a wrong perception, and I'm trying to work with it. Thank you so much. And you have your YouTube channel that you also try putting all these interesting videos there, and I'm a fan of them as well. And a lot of things on email management and a lot of other stuff that I really love what you're putting in. Thank you so much, Prasad, for taking out time. It's an amazing conversation and a lot of mind-blowing moments for me. Thank you so much. And we'll call you again when you're launching your book. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for listening to me.
Yeah, it's so much of information flowing, correct? It's like I'm opening my mind and everything is flowing in. I wish I had that chip that I can install it and take it. But so much of information, and thank you so much for taking us through your complete life and the way. Last departing comments that you want to add or you want to give my audience, because my audience is generally mid-career professional, working professionals, and any tips that you can give, anything that you want to leave them with the last thought.
The last thought, imagine this as a triangle, right? See, imagine this as a triangle. The bottom of the triangle is your mindset, which comes into the picture. On top of that, you build your habits. So first comes mindset, second comes the habit, and third comes the mechanics of it. How do I use this skill and the mechanics, right? And the fourth one comes as a skill, right? See, that's the triangle I typically tell people to my inner circle, that whenever you want to do anything in the life, and particularly in the career as well in the wealth creation, you need to focus on building the mindset, then focus on building the habits, because then habits will create your mechanics. Because you see the mechanics about how do I do it, whether which way I need to go ahead. That is all about mechanics. And then comes a skill. So the beauty of this triangle is such a that mindset and habits will always remain constant throughout your life. You will only revamp it. You will only go to the next level, one level to next level. The mechanics and skill can change depending on your economic condition. You may acquire new skills. The mechanics of investing may change. Sometimes people go cryptocurrency, that falls, and they come back. See, the mechanics and skill can change. Be agile in learning new methods of doing things or new skills. Be agile in that, but try to keep your foundation very strong with respect to mindset and habits. But if your mindset and habit is very shaky, right, mechanics and skill doesn't matter. You will see so many people struggling in their life. They are very talented. They are from a reputed colleges, fantastic score, but the mindset and habit is very shaky. They will not go long for. You will see so many people who don't even have a degree. They don't have anything in their life, but their mindset and habits, they're built so nicely. Mechanics and skill becomes a cakewalk for them to acquire it. So whatever you want to do in your life, imagine this as a triangle, the golden triangle for me. And probably I'm going to write more about this triangle in my book, upcoming book. Pick that up and read it. And I would be more than happy to answer any questions. They can reach out to me on a LinkedIn, Facebook, or a Twitter. I would be responsive on to all these channels. I'd be more than happy to help them to understand it.
Sure. Thank you so much, Prasad. It was a hats off conversation that we had with you. Appreciate your time and effort. Team, thank you so much for listening to us, and it's been great. And then we will try launching soon. Sure. Take care, Prasad. Bye bye.
Thanks, Arif. Thanks for hosting me. Bye.